Genesis 19 through 21. Then two angels came to Sodom at evening. Lot sat in the gate of Sodom. Lot saw them, and he rose up to meet them. And he bowed himself with his face to the earth, and said, See now, my lords, please come into your servant's house. Stay all night, wash your feet, and you can rise up early and go on your way. They said, No, but we will stay in the street all night. But he urged them greatly, and they came in with him, and he entered his house. And he made them a feast of baked matzah, and they ate. But before they lay down, the men of the city, the men of Sodom, surrounded the house, both young and old, all the people from every quarter. They called to Lot and said to him, Where are the men who came in to you this night? Bring them to us, that we may have sex with them. Lot went out to them through the door and shut the door after himself and said, Please, my brothers, do not act so wickedly. See now, I have 2 virgin daughters. Please, let me bring them out to you, and you may do to them what seems good to you. Only do not do anything to these men, because you have come under the shadow of my roof. They said, Stand back. Then they said, This one fellow came in to live as a foreigner, and he appoints himself a judge? Now we will deal worse with you than with them. Then they pressed hard on the man Lot, and came near to break the door. But the men reached out with their hand, and brought Lot into the house to them, and shut the door. They struck the men who were at the door of the house with blindness, both small and great, so that they wearied themselves to find the door. Then the men said to Lot, Do you have anyone else here? Sons-in-laws, your sons, your daughters, or whomever you have in the city? Bring them out of this place, for we will destroy this place, because the outcry against them has grown so great before Yahweh, that Yahweh has sent us to destroy it. So Lot went out and spoke to his sons-in-law, who were pledged to marry his daughters, and said, Get up, get out of this place, for Yahweh will destroy the city. But he seemed to his sons-in-law to be joking. When the morning came, then the angels hurried Lot, saying, Get up, take your wife and your 2 daughters who are here, lest you be consumed in the iniquity of the city. But he lingered. And the men grabbed his hand, his wife's hand, his 2 daughters' hands, and Yahweh being merciful to him, they took him out and set him outside of the city. It came to pass, when they had taken them out, they said, Escape for your life. Do not look behind you, and do not stay anywhere in the plain. Escape to the mountains, lest you be consumed. Lot said to them, Oh, not so, my lord. See now, your servant has found favor in your sight, and you have magnified your loving kindness, which you have shown to me in saving my life. I cannot escape to the mountain, lest evil overtake me, and I die. See now, this city is near to flee to. It is a little one. Oh, let me escape there. Is it a little one? And my soul will live. And he said to him, Behold, I have granted your request concerning this thing, that I will not overthrow the city of which you have spoken. Hurry, escape there, for I cannot do anything until you get there. Therefore the name of the city was called Zoar. The sun had risen on the earth when Lot came to Zoar. Then Yahweh rained on Sodom and on Gomorrah sulfur and fire from Yahweh out of heaven. He overthrew those cities, all the plain, all the inhabitants of the cities, and that which grew on the ground. But his wife looked back from behind him, and she became a pillar of salt. Abraham went up early in the morning to the place where he had stood before Yahweh, and he looked toward Sodom and Gomorrah, and toward all the land of the plain, and saw that the smoke of the land went up as the smoke of the furnace. And it came to pass, when God destroyed the cities of the plain, that God remembered Abraham, and sent Lot out of the middle of the overthrow, when he overthrew the cities in which Lot lived. Lot went up out of Zoar, and lived in the mountains, and his 2 daughters with him, for he was afraid to live in Zoar. He lived in a cave with his 2 daughters. The firstborn said to the younger, Our father is old, and there is not a man in the earth to come into us the way of all the earth. Come, let us make our father drink wine, and we will lie with him, that we may preserve seed of our father. They made their father drink wine that night, and the firstborn went in and lay with her father. And he said he did not know when she lay down, nor when she arose. And it came to pass on the next day that the firstborn said to the younger, Behold, I lay last night with my father. Let us make him drink wine again tonight. You go in and lie with him, that we may preserve our father's family line. They made their father drink wine that night also. The younger went and lay with him. He did not know when she lay down, nor when she got up. Thus both of Lot's daughters were with child by their father. The firstborn bore a son, and named him Moab. He and his father Moabites to this day. The younger also bore a son, and called his name Ben-Amah, which is the father of the children of Ammon to this day. Abraham traveled from there toward the land of the south, lived between Kadesh and Shur, and he lived as a foreigner in Gerar. Abraham said about Sarah his wife, She is my sister. Abimelech, king of Gerar, sent and took Sarah. But God came to Abimelech in a dream of the night, and said to him, Behold, you are a dead man, because the woman whom you have taken, for she is a man's wife. Now Abimelech had not come near her. He said, Adonai, will you kill even a righteous nation? Did he not tell me she is my sister? Even she herself said, He is my brother. I have done this in the integrity of my heart and the innocence of my hands. God said to him in the dream, Yes, I know that in the integrity of your heart you have done this, and I have also withheld you from sinning against me. Therefore, did not allow you to touch her. Now therefore restore the man's wife, for he is a prophet, and he will pray for you, and you will live. And if you do not restore her, I know for sure that you will die, and you and all of yours. Abimelech rose early in the morning and called all his servants, and told all these things in their ear. The men were very scared. And Abimelech called Abraham and said to him, What have you done to us? How have I sinned against you, that you have brought on me, on my kingdom, a great sin? You have done deeds to me that ought not be done. Abimelech said to Abraham, What do you see that you have done this thing? And Abraham said, Because I thought surely the fear of God is not in this place, they will kill me for my wife's sake. Besides, she is indeed my sister, the daughter of my father, but not the daughter of my mother, and she became my wife. When God caused me to wander from my father's house, I said to her, This is your kindness which you shall show to me. Everywhere that we go, say of me, He is my brother. Abimelech took sheep and cattle, male servants, female servants, and gave them to Abraham, and restored Sarah his wife to him. And Abimelech said, Behold, my land is before you, dwell where it pleases you. So Sarah he said, Behold, I have given your brother 1,000 pieces of silver. Behold, it is for you a covering of the eyes to all that are with you, and in front of you are vindicated. Abraham prayed to God. God healed Abimelech and his wife and his female servants, and they bore children. For Yahweh had closed up tight all the wombs of the house of Abimelech because of Sarah, Abraham's wife. Then Yahweh visited Sarah as he had said, and Yahweh did to Sarah as he had spoken. Sarah conceived and bore Abraham a son in his old age, at the set time which God had spoken to him. Abraham called his sons, who was born to him, from Sarah bore to him, Isaac. Abraham circumcised his son Isaac when he was 8 days old, as God had commanded him. Now Abraham was 100 years old when his son Isaac was born to him. Sarah said, God has made me laugh. Everyone who hears will laugh with me. And she said, Who would have said to Abraham that Sarah would nurse children? for I have borne him a son in his old age. The child grew and was weaned. And Abraham made a great feast on the day that Isaac was weaned. And Sarah saw the son of Hagar, the Egyptian, whom he had borne to Abraham, mocking. So he said to Abraham, Cast out the servant and her son, for the son of his servant will not be heir with my son Isaac. The thing was very grievous in Abraham's sight on account of his son. God said to Abraham, Do not let it be grieving in your sight because of the boy and because of your servant. In all that Sarah says to you, listen to her voice, for your seed will be named through Isaac. I will also make him a nation of the son of the servant, because he is your seed. So Abraham rose up early in the morning and took bread and a skin of water and gave it to Hagar, putting it on her shoulder, and gave her the child. Sent her away, she departed and wandered in the wilderness of Beersheba. When the water in the skin was spent, she put the child under one of the bushes. She went and sat down opposite him, a good way off, about a shot away. And she said, Do not let me see the death of my child. She sat opposite him, and lifted up her voice, and wept. God heard the voice of the boy. The angel of God called to Hagar out of heaven, and said to her, What troubles you, Hagar? Do not be afraid, for God has heard the voice of the boy where he is. Get up, lift up the boy, hold him with your hand, for he will make a great nation. God opened her eyes, and she saw a well of water. She went, filled the skin with water, and gave the boy a drink. God was with the boy, and he grew. He lived in the wilderness, and as he grew up, became an archer. He lived in the wilderness of Paran. His mother got a wife for him out of the land of Egypt. At that time, Abimelech and Phicol, the captain of his army, spoke to Abraham, saying, God is with you in all that you do. Now therefore swear to me here, by God, that you will not deal falsely with me, nor with my son, nor with my son's son, but according to his kindness that I have done to you, you shall do to me and to the land in which you have lived as a foreigner. Abraham said, I will swear. But Abraham complained to Abimelech because of the water well, which Abimelech's servants had violently taken away. Abimelech said, I do not know who has done this thing. You did not tell me, and I did not hear it until today. Abraham took sheep and cattle and gave them to Abimelech, and those two made a covenant. Abraham set 7 ewe lambs in the flock by themselves. Abimelech said to Abraham, What do these 7 ewe lambs, which you have set by themselves, mean? And he said, You shall take these 7 ewe lambs from my hand, that it may be a witness to me that I have dug this well. Therefore he called this place Beersheba, because they both swore an oath there. So they made a covenant at Beersheba. Abimelech rose up with Phicol, the captain of his army, and returned into the land of the Philistines. Abraham planted a tamarisk tree in Beersheba, and called there on the name of Yahweh, the everlasting God. Abraham lived as a foreigner in the land of the Philistines many days.